everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Queen Sugar Season 2, Episode 7, which was titled, I Know My Soul. So Queen Sugar takes us through the emotional episode, and then we learn that next week is the mid-season finale. I was so pissed off when I saw the previews for next week, and then at the end it said mid-season finale. I'm just like, seriously? Y'all finally get back on track and it's over. We go on hiatus, but at least we're getting like a full season and not just 8 episodes, and they're keeping us tuned in. So we only get like a 2-month break instead of a whole year. So before I get into the recap, I just want to give a few reflections here. So Ralph Angel, he wasn't expecting the blowback or the rash of emotions he received after revealing that Ernest left him the farm all to himself. And here is my thing. If Ernest couldn't maintain the farm himself or afford to keep it going, why would he expect Ralph Angel to be able to do so? And then Ernest and Aunt Vi, they provided Ralph Angel a crutch. I believe that they are the biggest part of Ralph Angel's problem. They've never held him accountable. And then, why was Ernest out there working a part-time job as a janitor when he had this grown, able-bodied man laying up in his house, when he should have been pushing Ralph Angel to get out there and get a job or help him get into college or something? But anyway, then we got Aunt Vi, baby. No, stop babying him and tell him to man up. So that's probably why Ralph Angel hasn't matured and he's still, in this little boy phase. And his hot temper and rash decisions will always be a hindrance to him until he learns to deal with his emotions. So Ernest left him the farm knowing he has a criminal past, is on probation, and has no job and no financial resources in order to maintain the farm. And I'm not saying that I have anything against people that have a criminal past, but I think history has shown that people who come out of prison and do well in life is because they learned a lesson while they were in prison. They used the opportunity. Like, I have friends who have been to prison before, and while they were there, they earned degrees, they learned skills, they learned trades, and they came out of prison with a mindset that they weren't going back to prison. And so they learned from their mistakes, and they took advantage of opportunities that was out there for them. But so far, Ralph Angel hasn't shown us any of that. He doesn't want to work for anything. He wants everything to be handed to him. And I think that is in response to the way he was raised. He was raised by people that handed everything to him. So he thinks it's okay to just take and not, be held accountable. So in a social media discussion, people were saying, that Ernest was hoping that leaving Ralph Angel the farm would motivate Ralph Angel to get himself together, and that may be the case. And I think that he probably was hoping that at some point Ralph Angel would get it together, but he also wasn't expecting to die as quickly as he did, or as suddenly, that he did. He thought Ralph Angel probably had some time to get his act together, before his passing, and he was able to take over the farm. So then I was surprised by the number of women who were saying that Nova and Charlie need to step aside and let Ralph Angel prove he can step up to the plate. And I'm thinking that would be the same as signing the deed over to the Landrys. Because I'm thinking once they find out that Ralph Angel is the sole owner of that farm, don't you think they're going to pounce on that opportunity? And if nobody's there to counsel him and let him know, that these people are trying to get over on him, where's that going to leave Ralph Angel? And it goes back to that loan. Remember, Remy told him about the loan, and then he was able to get the loan just like that. I just don't trust the government. I don't trust people that run programs like that, because it never seems to benefit the poor people that it lures into these traps. Because I'm thinking, not sure I have the statistics, but I think a lot of people that because remember, he had to title away a portion of the farm, what he thought was his share of the farm. He had to title that away to these people. So the first payment that he misses, he's going to lose that portion of the farm. And I just believe that without Charlie and Nova there, over his shoulder and making sure he's doing the right things, that it's just going to be that much easier for him to lose out. But I have to keep in mind that this is television and not real life, so maybe I shouldn't take it so serious. So let's go ahead and get into the recap. So when Nova screamed, go get that letter now! I tell you, I went to looking for the letter. I was like, damn, where is it? Where is it? Let me get it. I was like, Lord Jesus, she scared the crap out of me when she said that. And so unspoken thoughts released in anger can be a terrible thing. And Ralph Angel, blaming Charlie for not coming when the dad called, once again expecting her to just send money to fix everything. Then he says Nova is to blame because as soon as she was old enough, she moved to New Orleans and never came back to visit. But nowhere in his rationalization of why things turned out the way they did I hear him say, if I was the son that Ernest needed me to be, I wouldn't have screwed up and went to prison. Nowhere is he taking accountability for his actions in any of this, or why Charlie and Nova was even there trying to help him with this doggone farm. And that was the other thing. Because remember, Charlie and Nova wanted to sell the farm, but Ralph Angel wanted to keep the farm. And he was like, this is our legacy and we can't be giving up and giving the farm away. So they were catering to him to help him out and to help him build this legacy that he's talking about. But Ralph Angel seemed to be done forgot all about that. But I didn't forget Ralph Angel. I remember that clear as day. So after Nova told him to go get that letter and get that letter right now, Ralph Angel returned with the lockbox, and I had to laugh when he slid on that bench with Darla, and doggone, he damn near knocked Darla off that bench. He was just like scooting all up to her, and I was just like, really? And then Charlie was looking at Darla like, I know good and well you haven't forgotten that I gave you a job. You better tread lightly, little girl, and choose your battles wisely here. So Aunt Vi, she takes the letter out and reads it, and it's obvious more than ever that Ernest wrote the letter anticipating that Ralph Angel would grow up, that he never expected, nobody expects to die suddenly, but he didn't expect to die and leave the farm to him in his current state. So Ernest had the same hope most fathers have for their sons, that they will grow up, mature, become responsible men, get married, have families, and leave a legacy behind. So I don't fault Ernest for any of that, because that's just the order of things. So Charlie thinks the fact that he never sent the letter to his attorney to amend the original will means that he had second thoughts. And then Nova points out that he wrote the letter right after Ralph Angel was released from prison and didn't bother to tell anyone about it. So it was really just wishful thinking on Ernest's part that Ralph Angel was going to be able to take over the farm. So this whole thing is a mess. And, people were saying that, they should give Ralph Angel a chance. But I'm thinking, if my father or my mother, had property or had anything of value, and they died and left a will stating that only one of my siblings was entitled to whatever that thing was that they had left, I would be hurt to my core. I would be feeling some kind of way. So for people to be saying that Charlie and Nova, Charlie has money, Nova has her life, let Ralph Angel have something. I mean, this is your inheritance that you're talking about. This is, when people write a will, they're really saying what they feel about each person in the will. So to be cut out of the will completely means that they didn't think very much of you. So to make matters worse, they're arguing with Ralph Angel, and then the reporter calls to say that he has a photographer coming in and he wants to feature the farm in part of the article. And by the way, I think I said in the last recap that it was a newspaper article, but it's actually going to be a feature in a magazine called the Gallant magazine. So I'm thinking it must be like a really big deal. So then Charlie gets a call from Remy about a farmer named Mr. Duval who wants to run his cane through the Queen Sugar Mill. And so Remy wants to vouch for the guy and put him on the schedule for that night. But then Charlie is like, yes, that's a great idea. He can use our services, but he needs to sign a contract and put down a deposit first. So Remy didn't like that Charlie says, at this juncture, she wants, to dot all her I's and cross all her T's. Then I got to thinking, didn't Ralph Angel, when he was talking to Remy, remember the day he was going to take Darla out on the date and Remy came into the High Yellow and they went over and sat down and started talking? Did Ralph Angel mention that letter to Remy, or were they just talking about something else? Because it was the day that Remy, because Remy said, I think you could run the farm on your own and you would be good at it. And then Remy told him about that loan program. I may have to go back and relook at that episode, because I'm thinking if Remy did know that Ralph Angel had that letter and didn't say anything to Charlie, and Charlie fine, we gonna have a serious issue. Charlie goes in and tells Darla, to go to the mill and draft up the contract. Now Darla's loyalties are being tested. So she holding on to Ralph Angel, like if she let go, he'll just fall off that bench that they sit on. And I'm thinking, okay, Darla, you being an enabler also. You start acting like Aunt Vi and Ernest. Make Ralph Angel stand on his own. So behind Darla and Ralph Angel, was Aunt Vi. She's standing guard. She ain't gonna let nobody mess with her baby. She got to be in the midst of everything that's being said and done. And I thought Darla was going to lose her job right then and there. And then Nova came out and reminded Ralph Angel, that Darla was a part of the family. I'm just like, Nova, that was so cold. Why did you do that? Then I was thinking, poor Ralph Angel. He's talking about, he ain't got nobody on his side, and pointing out that they didn't want him and Darla back together, and telling Darla, remember how they used to treat you and how they used to talk about you. But I was so happy when Darla stood up for herself, and when he forbade her to go to the job, and he was like, you better stay, or something like that. He was talking to her like she was a child. And I was like, that's right, Darla. You lost your last job fooling around with Ralph Angel when he had you out there washing flies off that sugar cane. Don't lose this one because of a line drawn in the sand that it has nothing to do with you, sweetheart. Then Micah comes in, to let Charlie know that he's going to his dad's place, to give her some space so she can think and reflect over all this drama that's going on. And, he gives Charlie a hug, and I thought that was really cute. And so then we have these private discussions with Aunt Vi, that was even equally emotional, because now everybody gets to reveal exactly what they were feeling. And so this is part of the reason why Ralph Angel hasn't matured. I keep saying it over and over that Aunt Vi, as much as I love Aunt Vi, she's part of the problem. And so many women do this to young men. They just baby them and just make excuses for them and just hold them up all the time instead of forcing them to go out and, to mature and be responsible men. But, now she got to go feel out Nova and feel out, Charlie, to see how she can get them to understand, Ralph Angel's side of the story and be more forgiving and kind towards him. So Nova was on the phone with Dr. Dubois, and he wants her to come to Atlanta. And I'm still trying to figure out why he wasn't already in town celebrating with them the opening of the mill. And so Aunt Vi comes in, and she, Nova hangs up the phone. So we learned that Nova has some deep-rooted issues and hurt, well, not issues, but a lot of hurt within herself, which is common in families. And so Ernest wanted her to get married and have babies. So I don't know if that was just something that he was saying to be saying, because, sometimes people just say things because they don't know what else to say, or if he really, really wanted her to get married and have babies. So she said she tried to ignore him, but then Charlie had Micah and Ralph Angel had Blue, and then all of a sudden her dad stopped saying to her, why don't you settle down, get married, and, give me some grandchildren. So now she feels like him him cutting her out of the farm was punishment for never giving him a grandchild. And I was thinking, I'm sure the feelings are real, but to me that was a bit of a stretch, Nova. But that's what happens when we don't open up and have dialogue with people. We internalize all these hurt feelings and what we assume people mean and think about, when they say things to us, and then when they're dead and gone, you can never get clarity. You're only left with, what you feel they were actually saying or what they actually meant. So while Ralph Angel was out arguing with Darla, Nova went through the lockbox, and inside was keepsakes for well, there were keepsakes in the box, but there were things from Ralph, or either from Ralph Angel and Charlie, as well as a picture of Nova and her mom and a wedding band. So I don't know if it was the mom's wedding band or if it was Ernest's wedding band, but nothing was in there that, other than the picture with the mom, there was nothing in there that made her feel like he had any keepsake of hers. So that was like, ouch, that had to hurt even more. So with Aunt Vi's talk with Charlie brings up the fact that when she used to come and visit Ernest, for the summer, that she didn't have a place to stay at his house, but Aunt Vi made a room in her house that was like her room that she could always stay in when she came to visit. And I guess, being the outside child, she wasn't welcomed at Ernest's home. But I think that just had to be sad nonetheless. And then is Charlie the oldest, or is Nova the oldest? Because now I'm kind of like confused as to whether Ernest was tipping out with Charlie's mom, or if Ernest had moved to California, had this baby, and then came back. Because I was always under the impression that Charlie was an outside child, that she was conceived during an affair. But now I'm thinking that Ernest was living in California, had Charlie, and then somehow came back to Louisiana, got married, and started this family with his wife. So if you guys know, let me know in the comments, because I'm so confused at this point. Then Charlie also lets Aunt Vi know that ever since she got back to Louisiana, it's been all about Ralph Angel. And no matter how hard she's tried, she's just supposed to bend over backwards for him. And I'm glad somebody finally said it to Aunt Vi, because I don't think Aunt Vi realizes what she does. And probably because Aunt Vi is such a strong woman that she doesn't realize that Nova and Charlie need the same kind of comforting that she gives to Ralph Angel. So Aunt Vi says that it was because you're supposed to help people that need help. And so Charlie counters that Ralph Angel went to prison because of something he chose to do. But what does she do to deserve all that she's going through? And at what point does she have to stop helping people that ain't trying to help themselves? So when Charlie said, I want someone to fight for me, I felt her pain. I felt her pain. Because so many times we live our lives fighting, to hold on and to just keep things together. But the very people that witness us going through things, they never stop to think that at the end of the day, when it's just us and the darkness in the room, that we don't need anybody to fight for us or to be there for us. They just think, oh, she's got it, and they keep on moving on like it's one less thing they have to deal with. So that was really deep. I thought that was a very poignant moment. So Charlie goes out to talk to Ralph Angel. She done took a deep breath, took a moment. She won't go have a sensible conversation with him. But of course, he is still on the defense. So she asked him, how's he going to run the farm without her help? He doesn't have any money. The same things I was saying at the beginning of the video. And Ralph Angel, he's like, well, I'll figure it out. I'll do whatever I need to do. And then here comes Aunt Vi, because she ain't finna let nobody gang up on her baby Ralph Angel. So when Charlie says that she needs specifics, Ralph Angel says, he's going to take some courses at LSU. He's going to pick up some odd jobs here and there. And I'm thinking, let's keep in mind that you haven't been able to keep a job since getting out of prison. So what makes us think that you're going to be able to pick up a job here and to pick up a job there? And basically any job that you just pick up it's probably just going to be enough to pay the bills and keep the lights on. It's not going to be able to help you run this farm. So he lets Charlie know that he's going to figure it out without her help. And I'm just thinking pride, just so prideful. Then in comes Hurricane Nova. So she had a chance to reread that letter. And so she points out that Ernest wrote that he was leaving the land to the child who needed it the most. And she was like, so who is that child and why do you need it the most, Ralph Angel? Is it because you messed up the most? And I was just like, okay, Nova, all in her feelings. She all over the place. So she needs to digress and take a breath. So we learned that the mother died when Ralph Angel was 10 years old. And so as Nova was going on her rant and just slicing him, with that word sword she had, he told Nova that Ernest told him that, although he no longer had a mother, he had the next best thing, and that was a big sister. But Nova left first chance she got, and I'm thinking, well, that was hard for Nova to hear, but she had a comeback. Nova said that she dealt with their mothers passing the best way she knew how, and that Ralph Angel needed to do the same. I was just like, oh my God. So then Charlie, who really has no dog in that little fight that they had going on, because remember, she was an outside child, and she's just concerned, about Ralph Angel and will he be able to hold on to the farm. And so she tells him that he needs to grow up and show up. So it's like, okay, Miss Charlie. And Aunt Vi tried to be the peacemaker and let Ralph Angel know that Charlie is right and that he really does need her help. Don't be so bullheaded. But Ralph Angel wasn't trying to hear all that, and he jumped up and went in his room and slammed the door, having temper tantrum like a little 5-year-old. So Iyanla say that wherever we're hurt at, whatever age we're hurt at, that's where we're stuck at until we deal with the issue. So if the mom died when Ralph Angel was 10 years old, then that's why Ralph Angel is acting. So he's that 10-year-old boy that needs to deal with the passing of his mother so that he can grow up and move on. So back at the house, Nova, she just can't let it go. Like she would not stop and take a moment to just breathe and reflect and just think about what is going on. So she back at the house and she on the computer on Louisiana public records doing a search, and she learns that half of the land was once owned by Aunt Vi, but she sold it to Ernest. So she printed out the deeds and all that and went stumping out there on their front porch where Aunt Vi was trying to sip her tea and relax, just kind of digress for a moment. And Nova was like, what is this? What is this? And threw them, spread the papers out on the ottoman. And Aunt Vi was like, what are you doing? So she explains to Nova that she was 17 years old and she had met Jimmy Dale and fell in love. And so she sold that land to Ernest so she can go and be happy and start her own family with this man. And so we all know the story about Jimmy Dale where he was alcoholic and abusive to Aunt Vi, and then Ernest had to come home and get things straight with him and run him on off and messing with his sister. And so Aunt Vi says that getting Ernest back in her life was more important than the land. So now I'm thinking maybe Ernest was living in California at that point, and then when he heard that this man was beating on his sister, that he came back to Louisiana. So then she sold him the land and he decided to farm the land and all that good stuff. So Aunt Vi told Nova that choosing the only thing that matters is all that matters. So Nova took it to heart and she booked her a trip to Atlanta to go see if she can start a future with Mr. Dubois. I'm sure she was only going for the weekend, but she needed to get away from that situation. Over at the mill, Darla gets the contract to Remy and Mr. Duval, and Remy realizes that she's been crying, and asks her if everything's okay, and Darla's like, yeah, I'm okay, everything is fine. I'm just like, really, Darla? So before she came up, Remy and Mr. Duval were talking about how Charlie, how Charlie is so stubborn and so, technical and stringent and everything. But then at the end of the day, she's always right about what she's saying. So the Duval guy didn't seem too upset that, he had to sign the contract. So Darla goes to see Ralph Angel and let him know that, she understands that he's hurt, but she's not going to let him come between her and Blue. But he's still being bullheaded and mean and nasty and telling her, she chose their side over his side. So Darla was like, boy, if you don't want me to come inside and visit with Blue, go get him in his swimming trunks and we can go swimming. Because ain't nobody got time for this. You done made me lose, one job, Ralph Angel. I ain't got time for this. I'm trying to grow and elevate my life and you just stuck here. So I don't know what's going to happen with Ralph Angel and Darla. So, okay, I'm going to ask this question one more again. Does Micah still have his car? Now, he left earlier to go to his dad's house, you remember, to give Charlie some space, but then Davis brought him back home, to the place at the mill. But then Micah decides that he's going to give his parents some privacy and left to go see Kiki. So I'm just like, we ain't seen that car since the season opener. So is the writers forgetting about the car? Because they confusing me. Whether Micah has the car or he no longer has the car. So Davis had brought in a gift for Charlie. So after Micah left, he told Charlie to go ahead and open the gift. And so it was wrapped like a wedding present. And it turned out to be an ice cream maker. And I guess when they were getting ready to get married and they were doing their gift registry, she wanted to put this ice maker on the registry, but he told her no, that, they didn't need this ice maker. So I thought that was kind of cute, so now Davis, he knows that he wants Charlie back, but she's so cold and, rightfully so. But at some point you got to breathe and relax, Charlie, and see what's happening around you, get some fillers and, don't have such tunnel vision that this man did this to me, but just kind of, step back and say, okay, he's being awfully nice. Like, what is it that he really wants? And so, she tells him that she's doing the piece for the Gallant magazine and that she told them about the divorce. And so he got so angry, and asked her, why does it always have to be on her terms and why she always got to be so manipulative? And then he walks out. So Davis, like I say, he knows he wants Charlie back. So why won't he just be the person that finally fights for her, to finally make her feel important and wanted and needed and appreciated? So back at her office, Remy comes in to talk to Charlie about the reporter asking about her divorce. So she lets him know that she gave the reporter the story so she could control the narrative of how she wanted, the thing about the story about the mill written. And so Remy finally realizes that Charlie is a devil he can't dance with. So he tells her, a story about Ernest and how Ernest used to always talk about her and say how thoughtful she was, and that he took it to mean that she was caring and concerned, so she laid everything out and was cautious and, thought things through. So now he realizes that what Ernest meant was that she was calculating. And so he says he can't figure out how a woman could use her divorce as a bargaining tool in a business decision. And he just didn't understand how, how she could be the same person that Ernest was always bragging about. Now Remy, is doubting everything about her, every decision she's made, whether she's just stringing him along, if he really has a place in her life. And of course, this pissed Charlie off, and she told Remy that it was time for him to go. So does this clear the way for her and Davis to eventually get back together, or if Charlie is just going to be a bitter woman that don't ever have any love in her life? So the show ends with Hollywood going out to have a man-to-man talk with Ralph Angel over some cold beer. And Ralph Angel, I'm starting to think, and my friend Dominique on Facebook said that Ralph Angel might have some mental issues that need to be tended to, and she would know because she's a social worker and a counselor. And so after she said that, I was thinking, what, Ralph Angel might be bipolar, because he does have some characteristics of somebody I used to date who is bipolar, because he's always thinking the world is against him, but never seeing his role in what's taking place and how he's contributed to it. Then we go back over to Charlie, and she's there with the reporter and the photographer, and he asked her, what would Ernest think about her, reinventing herself and running the sugar mill and everything. And so she's at loss for words at first, but then finally she comes clean and says that, to be honest, she doesn't know what Ernest would say about what she's doing. And I was just thinking like, oh my God, this was such a good, powerful, powerful, powerful episode. Only one episode left before the mid-season finale. Guys, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. If I messed something up, if you have an answer to any one of my questions, or you just want to talk about the show. I do interact with people that comment on the videos. And so, rate the video, subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, please share it on your social media networks. It'll help me grow my channel. And until the next time, guys, I shall talk to you later. Bye-bye.